I am Superwoman. What's up, everybody? It has been years since I posted on YouTube. Honestly, life came at me, um, and I went through so much. I wish I kind of had documented a little bit more, but I said, you know what? I'm running in a competition. Why not post this on YouTube and see where it goes, Because I really want to win. So I don't know if anybody's heard, but it's about 2 years old. It's called Supermom Contest. And it started in 2023. So far, just two winners. This year, the grand prize is a uh, weekend getaway to Napa Valley, 20,000. And also, you get to be featured in Women's World magazine, which is like a really phenomenal magazine, just the works. So, I've been doing my whole TikTok thing. I've been growing followers. It's been amazing. Since the last time you saw me, my family has gotten bigger. Got another little girl. Um, and it's been great. But I mostly wanted to come on here to talk about the reason why I'm running in this contest, and ask for you all's votes. Um, I am running in this contest because two reasons. I have a daughter that is autistic, and every day there are battles, and any person with an autistic child can relate. There are battles that you face. Um, Not only that, but in 2021, my family and I um, got hit with a really, really difficult situation, and that was my son being diagnosed with HLH. Now, HLH is a rare autoimmune um, disorder. And basically, what happened was his white blood cells took over his body. He got some type of virus. To this day, they will never know what the virus is. They don't have an idea. But something triggered his body, and instead of his white blood cells attacking the virus, his white blood cells attacked him. So we were on vacation. At this time, we had moved to Georgia. We were there for a year. I had just given birth to our last child. And so she was about 3 months because she was born in March. We came down for, I think, the month of June or July it was June, sorry, for vacation to visit family, all of that. And things were going great. And I'm going to insert, pictures at the end to kind of just show a little bit of, what it was like. Um, I'm going to see if I can remember how to insert pictures during certain parts, but things were going great. We were visiting everywhere, but one day out of nowhere, towards literally the end, I mean, we had like a week, if that, left in Massachusetts visiting family and friends when um, he had a fever out of nowhere. So I went, and it was actually my older son that realized he had a fever because, we were staying in a hotel, and they were sharing a bed. And he's like, "Mom, he feels really warm." My son never complained, never told me anything was wrong. Now, mind you, at this point, I don't know how long his body was already starting to um, attack itself, but he was literally, when I say the fact that he didn't even tell me he wasn't feeling well, something was going on, strong child. Um, but basically, yeah, I gave him your regular Tylenol, Motrin. I did that for like 2, 3 days. I knew something was up when, and at first we thought it might have been he needed to just go to the bathroom. Maybe he was backed up, constipated. Um, so we were trying to do different activities like go to zoos and different things like that to get him walking. The way I knew something was wrong was the day before him going to the hospital, we went to Canopy Lake. And we went to Canopy Lake, and I'll never forget it. He just could not participate. And I'm going to insert those pictures because you'll see on his face, like, we're all smiling, but there is, like, now that I look at it, pain. He didn't want to be in the water. He didn't want to eat. That was the other thing we started noticing. His eating started to subside, just wasn't hungry. And, you know, um, my mom was like, all right, I'll bring him to the hospital, because I had even given him Tylenol there, and it wasn't working. Um, when my mom brought him to the hospital for me, I stayed with my other three children. I never thought it was going to be anything, but when she brought him in, and I'm going to do my best not to cry during this because me having to relive this is a lot. And I think honestly, there's still a lot that I need to release from the situation. But when you have children and you have things that you have to accomplish and still life goes on, it's hard as a mom. I think anybody can agree to take time to like let it out, whatever emotions you're feeling. But anywho, so she brought him to the hospital and they were there for hours. And she started telling me that one of the nurses noticed that his legs were swollen. So they started running tests. Um, they were wondering if maybe he got bit by a tick, Lyme disease, different things like that. They couldn't figure it out. Now, his fevers were going above your regular 102, 103. And the problem, and they decided to keep him, was all right, now we have 105. Yes, I said 105, not 100.5, 105. And Tylenol and Motrin alternating were not bringing the fever down. So then my mom called me and was like, they're going to keep him overnight. They've got to run some tests. Yeah, something is wrong. I'm like, okay. Now my husband was back in Georgia and he was traveling on his way up to come and pick us up. So I had to call him on the phone and let him know, I'm just letting you know, our son's in the hospital and right now the doctors are not releasing him and I don't know how serious this is going to go. Um, so then I switched and had to be at the hospital. Um, and it went from them keeping him to we're admitting him. Okay. Um, when I finally got to the hospital, um, they kept having to redo his IV because his veins kept failing, if you would say, of them constantly having to poke him and drawing blood because they were trying to draw blood to figure out. They could not figure out. His numbers were all over the place. They could not figure out what was going on with my child. At this point, now it's real. It's real. It's real. Um, I remember my husband coming and us looking at our son and trying to figure out like how serious are we talking? And doctors couldn't give us an answer. Um, I'll never forget when my husband's mom, my mother-in-law, came to the hospital, and I value her opinion a lot. And so, we were all just having our input of what we thought. By this time, my son literally, when I say wasn't eating, wasn't eating. So we're running off of an IV that keeps failing. Just to keep him hydrated because he just got to a point too of not drinking. Um, Now, mind you, I still have my little one. I'm breastfeeding. So I have to compose myself, you know, to be able to still produce milk for her because she couldn't do formula. And I think during this time, that's when formula, there was a shortage anyway. So I wouldn't dare even try to start her on formula. So there was a lot that I had to juggle, along with trying to, I wasn't seeing my other children because now my other two children, now I'm literally stuck at the hospital at this point for days. Um, and my husband had to kind of go back and forth. But my mother-in-law took a look at my son and she told me, you need to pray. This doesn't look good. Um, I had to excuse myself out of the room and I had to go to the car and I cried. Because at this point, besides doctors not knowing what's wrong with my child, to hear these words from someone else, you know, that's close to you, they're seeing your child in a different perspective than you are. You're like, this is serious, you know, this is very, very serious. Um, and oh, it's my cat, y'all. I swear it's an emotional cat, emotional support cat. He can like sense when a person is sad. It's the craziest thing. But I had to cry. I didn't want to cry in front of my child. Because you're doing everything as a mom to like, I don't want you to worry, you know? Days went by, guys. I think maybe like a week went by. And frustrations started building. Um, During this time, I had one good friend. Um, I won't say her name because I don't know if she wants me to mention her name, but I had one good friend who had a similar situation with her daughter, but in the autoimmune world. And so she was talking to me a lot and just walking me through things. And I mean, guys, they were running tests left and right. They were doing panels to see what illnesses he came across because at this point they can't figure out not only that his spleen and his liver were enlarged, um, inflamed, as they say. And ooh, I started getting frustrated because I felt like at one point the highest his fever got was 108. Not 100.8, hear me, 108. And I started getting concerned. Do we have to worry about seizures? No, we don't have to worry about that. Why are we giving Tylenol and Motrin? Well, we want to keep some type of control. I get it's not wiping the fever all the way, but we want to gain some type of control. I was concerned that the Tylenol and Motrin would interfere with his liver. Um, and frustrations were at an all-time high between my husband. It got to a point where they kept telling me, we're gonna have to put your child to sleep. We're gonna do an MRI. And I remember them calling me in the room and telling me we're gonna do an MRI. And um, my mom was at the hospital with me at this point, and his godmother, my cousin, ended up coming later and bringing Chinese food. But my mom was a huge support. And they told me that when they do the MRI, if he starts getting nervous or whatever, they're going to put him to sleep and they're going to do a spinal tap because there were certain levels in his blood that they were finding that were really, really high. and they think that they could find the answers in a spinal tap. Now, if you have not had a spinal tap, they did a spinal tap and a hip tap. They did both. Um, and anybody that knows those are painful things, very painful. This is a child at the time. I think he was like 6 years old. Just keep that in mind. So they told me I was very nervous. I really didn't want him to be put to sleep. So I took him in for the MRI, and he was doing all right. And then out of nowhere, he started just freaking out, getting nervous. So they put him to sleep, and my child went from crying and reaching for me, literally out. They asked me to leave the room because they were going to finish the MRI and then do the spinal and hip tap. At that time, I was talking with my friend on the phone. And then, when he was done, brought him upstairs, and he was in a lot of pain. My cousin, she had Chinese food, and we were talking, and her and my mom were just trying to cheer me up. I had to move my son because he didn't want anybody else to touch him. While they had done the spinal tap, they also put something called a PIC line in him. So basically, it's instead of them constantly having to, give him a new IV, it served as an IV that inserted through his line and went all the way to a certain portion of like his heart and things like that. They felt like due to how long he had been in the hospital and just the difficulties. At this point, my son was traumatized, having to get new IVs. That was a battle. Um, a lot, a lot, a lot. They did that as well. So, oh, um, they brought him upstairs and I moved him. He was in a lot of pain. A lot of pain. One of those things when, like, as a parent, you want to take their pain away. I wanted to take his pain away. So I remember a lot of doctors coming in the room. My husband, he was with our other children at the hotel, so he wasn't able to be there. And all the doctors coming in and telling me, we think your son has a condition called HLH. It's very rare. It's on the lines of leukemia. And we need to get him upstairs right now and start a round of chemotherapy. This was before they even got the results back of the spinal and hip tap. They said due to, when I say every doctor in that hospital was working, every specialist, everybody. They had him on so many medications. They were like this is life or death. Every minute that goes by, we run the risk of the chemotherapy not being effective. We just run so many risks. I called my cousin's brother, my other cousin, who is a doctor, and asked his advice. I said, listen, can you give me a minute? Because this is a lot to take in. My son just got put to sleep. He just had all this stuff done. And now you guys are coming to tell me of this rare autoimmune that his body is attacking itself at every moment because they don't know how long, you know, when everything started. So they don't know how much time they have, in other words. And my cousin told me, no, don't think about it. You need to take him and let them administer it right now because literally any moment can be too late. So without being able to even talk to my husband, just going off of advice, I took my child upstairs on the 5th floor at the Hasbro Children's Hospital in Rhode Island. And they started their first um, treatment of chemotherapy. My son cried for me because I had to leave and my mom stayed. And I asked my mom to stay because someone in our family had gone through leukemia and she was an expert in chemotherapy and just everything that comes with it. And honestly, as a mom, I had to do everything I could for my emotions to be controlled because I could never expose myself in that way to my child. My cousin then drove me to my husband. She took our kids and had me explain to my husband that he was gonna have to go back to Georgia on his job. He is leaving. He has to relocate because now our son had to undergo chemotherapy and had to be watched, and we could not go back home. And I would later come and join him and pack up what we could and bring to Massachusetts. We didn't know where we were going to stay. We didn't know what we were going to do. We didn't know anything. I also had to let him know what our son had, the diagnosis, and I've never seen my husband break down, but that day he broke down. And as parents, we didn't know what to do. We didn't know what to do at all. About a week later, a week or two later, we had a talk with different people and they allowed us to stay at the Ronald McDonald House in Providence, Rhode Island, or in Rhode Island. I won't say necessarily Providence, but in Rhode Island, while I applied to be put in a shelter. We were denied. I even went before a judge. We were denied. Pretty much when my son was able to clear out of the hospital, yet he still had to go back every week to come and do his treatments. He had to have blood infusions, I think is what you call, because he was losing a lot of blood. His blood count was really, really low. He was taking steroids. Um, he started losing his hair. And they told us that us staying at the Ronald McDonald's house was only during his treatment session. Once it was done, we had to leave. I finally drove down from Massachusetts to Georgia to pack up a 3-bedroom apartment. The only thing I could get was the biggest trailer that gets hitched onto the back of a vehicle. And that's all that I could bring with me. I pretty much left an entire apartment. And I had no idea where we were gonna go. I run in this competition because HLH is very, very rare. It's something that is not talked about enough. There is not enough awareness about it. And maybe there is, but before my son got diagnosed, I never knew something like this existed. Every 6 months, my son has to go and get his levels checked. And this is something for the rest of his life he's going to have to do because they want to make sure he does not relapse. If for whatever reason he ever has a relapse, it's a bone marrow transfer that he would need. I'm constantly reminded every 6 months of what we went through as a family. We were literally for months in a small room at my parents' until we finally got housing. We literally uprooted everything, had nowhere to go with 4 children. I run in this competition because I want to share and talk about it. We didn't know what we were going to do. And then on top of that, still having to deal with an autistic child and fulfill her needs and the things that she needs. And that is an everyday battle. Everybody has a story. I just want the opportunity to share my story and give my children a home, not an apartment, not somebody else's home that we're renting, but I want to give my children a place of their own, a place that they can literally call their home, that we own. So winning this would allow that to happen and so much more. I'm gonna attach the link, but if you watch the whole video, I appreciate it. I really hope this touched your heart. Yeah, that is my summed up in 30 minutes story. As much as I could of why I am running in the next Supermom contest. Thank you guys. Very last day with his pick lining. No more chemotherapy.
You got this, buddy.
Oh yeah.
It's all done. No more, okay?
Woohoo!
All right. Keep still, okay?
Oh, it's funny.
Yeah,
Okay,
let's
stay
get on a
still,
little bit more. I
stay
gotta try and get
still,
underneath.
stay
It's like right under
still,
your
okay?
armpit.
Okay?
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm trying
It's
to go.
okay. You got this, buddy.
It's coming off slowly. You know what it was? It was
Take a
just
deep
like
breath.
stuck right underneath your
Okay?
armpit.
Take a deep breath. Can you look at me? Take a deep breath, okay?
I'm just trying to pull it off the tubing so I don't pull it out.
Okay?
Welcome.
You got this, buddy. You're doing such a great job. You're almost there. Okay? You're almost there. Almost over. There we go, see? There you go. Okay?
I'm just gonna take this.
There you go. Okay.
Well,
I
you
want
want
you to
that?
look at me. Hey.
Hey,
I want you to look at me.
Okay, this
I
is
want
just
you to
gonna
look at me,
slide
okay?
right up.
Ready?
Alright.
Look at me. Look at me. Look at me.
Good, we're done.
Oh, we're all done. You did it. Look at that. No tears.
Good job.
You didn't even feel anything, did you? Good job. Yay, Eliezer, you did it. I'm so proud of you. Good job.
I'm just gonna hold it for a minute, okay?
Good job. I'm so proud of you. Look at that. All done.